Hey guys, so I am doing my third and final vlog on Seven, which was a story that we read by Edwidge Danticat. I'm assuming is how you pronounce that, but I don't know. Okay, so I actually kind of liked this story, weirdly enough, because it kind of has a very strange ending just in terms of them not really being happy with the fact that they're married. They're just kind of there, and they kind of wish that they were pretending to be married in a carnival, or pretending to want to get married in a carnival as opposed to their actual lives. But I don't know, I actually really liked it. One thing I found super weird is that lighting is not the best, but whatever. Okay, so one thing I found super weird was on page 285 or 200 2085 2085, where he says she was never to find out about those women who'd occasionally come home with him in the early morning hours. Those women, most of whom had husbands, boyfriends, fiancés, and lovers in other parts of the world, never meant much to him anyway. I just found that to be super interesting because he's waiting to see his wife. He's waited 7 years to see his wife. And from what I gathered in the story, they got married, they had their night, their wedding night together, they consummated whatever, and then he left pretty much right after. So they really didn't get to experience marriage at all. They've been married for 7 years now, and it's not like any other 7-year marriage. And I just found that to be really bizarre and super interesting. But I can kind of relate to it. Not me personally. Obviously, I was born in the United States, but my grandmother, my grandfather was a political prisoner in Cuba. So after they got married, they had been married for a little while though, so it's pretty different. But my grandmother came over with my dad first, and then my grandfather didn't come out until, like, come over to the United States until 17 years later. So I can definitely kind of relate to that aspect of the story, just as far as, hold on, we're trying to get AJ to bed. Just as far as, being married and having to be away from each other for so long. Ow. But I can't imagine having to do that right after you get married. It just seems, it seems counterintuitive to me. Yeah, and I just found that super interesting. Also, I found very interesting that neither one of them wanted to admit to the other that they had basically emotionally cheated. Well, he physically cheated. She kind of emotionally cheated. Like right after he left, a neighbor guy like came over and just slept in the same bed with her, which I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but that's almost the exact same thing as what he did. Guys tend to be more physically driven. Women tend to be more emotionally driven. So by her sleeping next to some other dude, she was basically cheating. I mean, it's not sex, but she mentally had sex with him, whether she realizes it or not. And it just kind of seems like, I don't know, man. I'm married, and my husband's like my best friend. I tell him everything. If, like, this is kind of gross, but if I fart in, like, a strange place, I go home, and that's the first thing I tell him. Oh my gosh, you're not going to believe what happened. It was in the elevator and just kind of came out. And these two don't really seem to want to tell each other anything about anything. You know, she stays at home because she doesn't want to venture out. She doesn't know the language. She's afraid that she's going to get lost. And Adam, you can bring him up. Excuse me. Oh, God. Adam, you can bring him up. Where was I? Yeah, they don't want to tell each other anything. And like when the first weekend that he has off, she asks him, "So what are we going to do today?" And he says, "Whatever you want." Like, what do you mean, whatever I want? You've been living here for 7 years. Why don't you take me to some places that you like, and show me around? they end up going to like the Brooklyn Park, the Prospect Park, which actually used to live near Prospect Park. It's beautiful. So good job on his part. That was a good choice. But you would think that after 7 years that he'd be like, okay, this is our first weekend together, so I'm going to take you to, all the places that I know that I have visited, because I want to share the last 7 years of my life with you, and as well as the rest of our lives. But he doesn't do that. He lets her pick. I mean, I don't know. Those are my thoughts. I'm not really sure if any of this makes sense, but those are my thoughts on the story. I found it to be pretty interesting. I liked it. I liked the story a lot. I might see if I can find some other stories of hers, to read, because I actually really liked it. Hi, buddy. Go to bed. Okay, so let's discuss. Okay, bye.